Hello and welcome to the International Booker Prize 2024. I'm your host, Jack Edwards, and I'm coming to you live from London's Tate Modern. Anything could happen, but what I can promise you is we will be having interviews with authors, with translators, and some very special guests here in London. Also, we will be finding out the winner of the International Booker Prize 2024. Hundreds of books were submitted for consideration for this year's International Booker Prize, and they were whittled down to just 6 books by our panel of judges. But who will win the prize? Well, I've actually managed to get my hands on it. This may end up in my tote bag, I'm not going to lie, but while I do that, we're going to have some little teasers of each of the 6 books, starting with Not a River.
Los vínculos masculinos me interesan un poco en relación a cómo afectan el universo en general.
This was a book that I really felt like I had to read around a lot before I started translating because it's so far outside my own experience. So I read fishing manuals, I read fishing memoirs, fishing novels, I went on some fishing forums, I watched fishing YouTube videos.
When Eusebio went missing, it was the divers who found him. The river is as thick as tar. You can't see a thing underwater. The men have to search by feel.
And what a beautiful book it is. Now, 2 people who know full well what our shortlisted authors are thinking and feeling right now are last year's winners of Time Shelter. We have Georgi Gospodinov and Angela Rodel. Welcome. How are you feeling tonight?
Great. Wonderful.
Great, yeah. It's and more calm than the previous, yeah.
You can relax a little bit. Now, tell me, Georgi, how has your life changed since last year when you won the prize?
A lot of travels, a lot of meetings with readers. I traveled from Jaipur to Sweden, and but also I managed to find 1 month for writing. And so my advice to the next winners will be, you could enjoy to your reader, but you should decline politely some invitations and to find time and shelter for writing.
Mark it in your calendar this evening because life gets crazy as of right now, right? And now, Angela, what is the importance to you of highlighting translators at a prize like this?
I think generally translators, if we're good at what we do, we're somewhat invisible. But I think especially now in the day and age of machine translation, it's really important to understand why human literary translators are so necessary, because we're not just translating words, we're translating cultures, we're translating ideas, emotions. And I think especially now when there's so much conflict in the world, literature, international literature is what gives us empathy. It gives us an understanding about how other people live, believe, think, feel. So I think this prize is so important to keep it in people's minds, the job that we do.
It should be universal enough because it's about hope and decay and disappointment.
The book seems to me like a coin, which has a personal story on, which has heads, as it were, a personal story on one side, tails, the emblem of the state on the other side, and it keeps being spun up into the air.
Hans says, I need to get you out of my head. Katerina doesn't understand. Hans says, it's over.
It's Tanya Burr. How's your night going?
So wonderful, thank you. It's such a gorgeous venue and feels really special to be here.
We're glad you're here. Now, you actually chose one of our shortlisted books to be on your book club, so tell us about that.
I did, and I didn't realise it was shortlisted at the time, but I just picked it up in a bookshop, read the back, and thought, I do like a little bit of translated fiction, and I also loved that it was set in Brazil, somewhere I've never been but would love to go, and also that it was about sisterhood.
And that was Crooked Plough, right?
Yes, Crooked Plough, sorry, I didn't say that.
I'm joined by someone who knows these books like the back of their hand, co-host of the Booker Prize podcast, Jo Hamya. How are you?
I'm all right, how are you?
I'm good. We have to stop running into each other like this. This always happens to us. Now tell me, did you notice through reading any of these books, any thematic similarities, anything that these books kind of have in common that makes them a shortlist, a cohesive shortlist, or were they all different?
No, there's definitely a theme running through them, recovering the self, ideas of memory, sometimes of trauma. Each of these books examines an archive in some way of a country or an individual. So I think there is a coherent link, which you can't always say, but they all tackle it in very different ways.
And I know that you're probably just as excited to find out who's won the prize as I am, so we will find out later on in the show. How was it working together on the translation of this book?
It was a great collaboration. I think we have different styles, but we didn't struggle at all. We had plenty of discussions, so it was like a good synergy effect for both of us.
How did you find the experience?
I agree with everything she said. I've been asked, like, did we argue? Was it a struggle? And it honestly wasn't. It was such a joy. Normally when you translate, you're by yourself in a room with a book, and to be able to work with someone was such a nice change.
It was long and it was a lot of fun. I think it was pretty unique because it was it was a book that was so far from my experience, and so I had to find the voices of the characters somewhere aside from it in my own personal memories, experiences and vocabulary. So it took me to some strange places, it took me to some fishing forums, to some fishing memoirs, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I learned a lot about how to catch a ray, an unexpectedly large ray.
And if you could recommend any translated book to the people watching at home, which one would it be?
Well, at the risk of sounding very self-promoting, I would say my next translation will be out in October. It's called To the Kennels.
A previous Booker shortlisted one that I love is The Employees by Olga Ravin, which is just a very strange kind of sci-fi, kind of capitalist satire of capitalism, absolutely brilliantly translated, chilling, haunting, sensual prose. Brilliant. Everyone should read it.
I wouldn't have been able to write a novel like this when at the age of 25, of course, because it's based on the experience of having different kind of deep relationships with people.
I would be lying if I said I didn't cry while translating the details, especially the final chapter.
Anyone who saw Alejandro on stage immediately forgot about the instrument he was wielding. He was hypnotizing.
Now, I've managed to catch up with two of my favorite book creators, looking ravishing. How is your night going?
So good. It's so nice to be here. Do you know what's really lovely, Jack? Is looking and meeting the actual authors and the translators in actual real life. I'm loving it.
We're collectively fanning out over here. What about you, Bernie?
Yeah, it's great to see all my favorite authors here. Yeah, and it's my first time in London as well, so.
Oh my God, welcome. Now, speaking of countries, are there any countries in particular whose literature you find yourself gravitating towards?
Definitely Crooked Plow with Brazil, because I've been to Bahia on my honeymoon. Loved it, but also Argentina with the Notta River.
Yeah, it's similar. South America has been having a renaissance in literature and how it's, getting all over the world lately, so yeah.
Okay, listen, I think it's about time. We've read the books. It might be our chance now to put our money where our mouths are. Who do you think is going to win the award tonight? Who are you rooting for?
For me, personally, Notta River, only because a couple of weeks ago, I sat in a cafe and this mum walked in with her baby and she had Notta River. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm just about to read that book. She goes, yeah, well, I'm Annie McDermott. I translated it. Oh, and she's from Hastings, as am I. So blatantly rooting for Notta River tonight.
Okay, what about you, Bernie?
I've read the entire shortlist and loved all of the books, but my favorite definitely is Kairos.
I think I might be secretly rooting for Kairos too, but we will find out later on in the show who has won the International Booker Prize 2024. Thank you so much, you guys.
온 세계가 그랬을 때 아마 저도 그렇고 많은 다른 나라의 작가들도 그러는데 출발점을 이렇게 되돌아보는 것 같아요. 룩백이라고 그러나 이렇게 보면서 우리가 어디서 왔지?
People who have been introduced to Korean films, dramas, music, they may naturally become more curious about Korean culture. And what could be better than books, particularly novels, when it comes to exploring a culture at a deeper level?
Kill? You want me to kill Peksun? You silly boy. What did you go and name it for? Kill it now, so you can at least sell the meat.
If you want to join in on the conversation, make sure you tag us at the Booker Prizes and hashtag International Booker 2024. Also, over on our website, thebookerprizes.com, we've got actor readings, we've got interviews, we've got reading guides. All of that can be found over on our website. And now let's find out about the next book.
When you grieve a loss of someone, you sometimes have memories just popping up unexpectedly when you do something, or when you are at a certain place or someone says something that reminds you of that person. And so that's also what I tried to do in this book.
I feel it's also a lot like what an actor must feel like. You want to be emotionally invested, but at the same time you're able to pull yourself out probably a little easier than the original writer.
You're depressed, I said. You really can get better again. But I'm not sick. Suddenly he no longer considered himself sick.
Okay, so tell me, how was it working on this book?
Writing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very exhausting process. But when it was finished, I was very happy, and it was a nice process also. Very fun. Yeah. It's very fun writing books. Yeah.
Fue maravilloso porque además ya es el tercer libro que trabajamos juntas y Annie es una traductora muy cuidadosa, muy meticulosa y es un placer trabajar con ella.
It was wonderful because this is the third book they've done together, and Annie's a very careful, very meticulous translator, and it's a pleasure to be working with her.
It was amazing. Jente's so clever and funny, so I would take the opportunity to talk and work with Jente anytime.
And how did you find the experience of working with a translator?
Yeah, perfect. We work pretty closely together, and this translation exists because Sarah took the initiative to translate it. So I'm so grateful to her.
If you could recommend any translated book to the people watching at home, which translated book would you recommend?
That is translated into English. Yeah. Well, I can recommend one of the nominees tonight, Kairos by Jenny Erpenbeck. It's a very good book.
Bueno, muchos de Charco Press, la editorial con la que publico, que además muchas amigas publican ahí, Las aventuras de la China Iron, El tiempo Elena sabe, de Claudia Piñeiro, bueno, todo el catálogo de Charco Press.
I got a lot of those. I was nodding along like I know these names.
You can do it, Jack. You can translate.
I got Claudia Piñeiro, and I was like, absolutely yes.
I like to recommend We Had to Remove This Post by Hannah Barefoot, translated by Emma Rolls.
Incredible. What about you?
Maartje Wortel, Dutch writer, and the title is Goldfish and Concrete.
Então, muito do que se contava em casa, que fazia parte das nossas memórias, aparece no romance Torturado.
The book is told through the voices of three separate individuals. There's a section of one sister speaking, a section of another sister speaking, and then I won't say who speaks in the third section so as not to ruin the surprise.
Among the disordered clothes lay something mysterious, covered with a filthy rag, and it attracted us like a precious stone.
That was Crooked Plough, and that concludes our insights into the 6 shortlisted books on this year's International Booker Prize 2024. Now, we're rushing to the stage because I'm hearing that we are just about to hear who the winner of the prize is. So we're walking right past the red carpet, which confusingly is not red. What has been read, and what I can guarantee has been read, are the books on this shortlist. Our expert panel of judges have been reading through them, deciding their favorites, and our head of judges is about to deliver a speech on that stage over there. Now, our authors, our translators, our very special guests walk down this carpet. We lure them with a bar at the end of it. That's the way to do it. And they've all been sitting here having their meals, and we are about to head live to the stage. It's about to happen. They're watching the same videos you guys have been watching at home, and I will let you go. This has been like a DFE hike coming all the way down here, but I think it's about time we find out who has won the International Booker Prize 2024. You should go.
We heard Grandma's voice, fading into the distance amid all the clucking and the birdsong, as though her prayers and chants, meaningless to us, had been chased off by our own excited panting, triggered by the wicked thing we were about to do. Elonesia squeezed herself under the bed and pulled out the suitcase. The peccary hide covering the rough earthen floor bunched up beneath her body. I opened the suitcase now lying before our eyes. I pulled out a few pieces of old clothing, mostly threadbare, and others still quite vibrant, and made brighter by the sunlight of that dry day. A light I could never accurately describe. Among the disordered clothes lay something mysterious, covered with a filthy rag, and it attracted us like a precious stone. I was the one who undid the knot. Listening for my grandma's voice, I saw Belonesia's eyes catch the metal's radiance, as though she'd been presented with a gift, still glowing from the forge.
Congratulations to our shortlisted authors and translators, and it is now time. I'm joined on stage by Georgi and Angela, who'll be handing over this year's trophies. To announce the winner of the International Booker Prize 2024, please welcome the chair of this year's judging panel, esteemed writer Eleanor Wachtel.
I'd like to say what a privilege it's been for me to be part of this extraordinary award. We've already heard how much it changes the lives of writers and translators. I would add readers to that mix. These books will change your lives and the lives of so many outside of this room as they have enriched my own. I want to thank Fiammetta, Gabby, Hannah, and Zoe for their unstinting and inspiring help. And of course, my ad hoc book club of brilliant fellow judges. Please stand up, Romesh Gunasekara and William Kentridge, and you've already met Natalie Diaz and Aaron Robertson. Over more than 30 years of interviewing the very best international writers, I've come to understand how translators open borders of the mind and create a worldwide community of readers. What we don't realize is how exceptional reading a translation is, the way we slip into another world, a parallel reality. There's this great as if Brazilian subsistence farmers spoke English, as if a Korean protester on his perch on top of a factory chimney tower thought in English, as if an East German student remembered in English. The power of the translator is to convince us to leap into this act of imagination. Perhaps leap is a little too strong because so much of it happens unconsciously. To enter this experience, to feel the emotions, while at the same time enlarging the fabric of what English is and can be. As a child of immigrants, I've long been interested in exile and displacement, adaptation and reinvention, with an increasing awareness and appreciation of the risks and courage it entails. What is lost and what is gained? Where is home? Language is learned or forgotten. I've always looked to fiction as a way to inhabit other places, other interiorities. In English, translators work from a source to a target language. In other languages, they more evocatively move from departure to arrival. Translation as a fabulous journey of words through space, across continents sometimes, or even across cities. There's a French, there's a French tradition of considering translation as a form of hospitality. of the taking in of foreigners, and the double meaning of the word hôte as both host and guest in French makes this hospitality especially gracious as a two-way affair, translation as giving and receiving. Speaking of currency, sort of, or another medium of exchange, there's a quote that I really like that for some time appeared on the Canadian $20 bill. On the reverse side of the picture of the Queen, among images of work by Indigenous artists, in tiny type were the words of the French language writer Gabriel Roy. In English it reads, "Could we ever know each other in the slightest without the arts?" I'm sure she really meant without the writers and translators. One of the things our jury noticed almost right from the beginning of reading 149 books was how the weight of history impinges on our lives, and how the writers found original ways of revealing this entanglement through the stories they wanted to tell. Our conversations throughout the judging process were convivial and substantive, and to our delight, the final decision was reached with considerable consensus. It gives me great pleasure to announce the winner of the International Booker Prize 2024 is Kairos by Jenny Erpenbeck, translated by Michael Hoffman. Please come up to receive the awards.
So I didn't even think about delivering a real speech. I'm really surprised because, should I stand here? Or, I don't know. As you all know, there are 6 books on the shortlist, and every of the books is a good book. What should I say? I come from a family of writers. So my grandparents were writers. My father used to write fiction as well. And my mom was a translator from Arabic to German for literature. She translated the Nobel Prize winner Naguib Mahfouz her whole life, so she was well known with the problem of translation. You know. And yeah, what I thought, what perhaps should also be mentioned is that a part of my family was not writers. So there was also a peasant woman who was my great-grandmother, who perhaps was the most essential character in our family. There was my grandmother who was a machine knitter, if such a thing exists in English, and later a secretary, and in my family wrote letters back and forth. You know, there was much writing in our family on all sides. And now I'm standing here, and I'm very honored, and I wouldn't stand here if there were not people who supported me. Like, in first place, Michael Hoffmann. But of course also my German publisher, Penguin Random House, with Britta Igitte Meyer and my editor Wolfgang Ferchel. Then my publishing house here in Great Britain, Granta, with my editor Laura Barber and my favorite publicist, Prue Rolandson. and oh God, I'm so afraid to forget someone. So I'm very happy. Thank you.
No, first thing is to step down. That's the first thing. Thank you. No podium, no pedestal. No notes. It's a very peculiar thing being. I mean, almost all my descriptions of it are comical or ridiculous or tragic, but it's funny being the back half of a pantomime horse or the brakeman on a bobsleigh team. But there is something exhilarating about translating, doing something in a big zigzag, sort of as quickly and finally as you can. I don't know what else I can say. I'm completely sort of staggered by this. The one I don't believe in choosing. I believe in deciding. The biggest decision is the first one, which is the decision to go with the book. And I want to thank Jenny for her trust in me. And that's about the size of it. Thank you.
Wow, congratulations to Rebecca Erbenbeck and Michael Hoffmann. Thank you all so much for joining us. The night is still young, at least till 11 p.m. Grab a glass of something and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Wow, congratulations to Jenny Erpenbeck and Michael Hoffmann with their incredible book, Kairos, the winners of the International Booker Prize 2024. I'm joined again by Bernie and Sarah. Sarah, what are your thoughts?
Well, I have to say, I mean, Not in River didn't win, but Kairos was also one of my favorites. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, what about you, Bernie?
Yeah, I'm just super excited. I mean, I liked all of the books, so I would have been happy anyway, but this one was just, it had the wow factor. It was special. It's a book that just does a lot and is really impactful. So I'm excited for more people to read it.
Oh my gosh, such a special book. This one made me fall in love with literature all over again. I feel like we need to check the records. I feel like maybe I predicted this earlier in the show. I'm not sure. I'm like, check the records, I swear.
And Bernie did.
Okay, I'm taking that and running with it. Now look, guys, people are getting up. There's going to be a queue at the bar, and I think we all owe Jenny Erpenbeck and Michael Hoffmann a huge drink. So I'm going to let you guys go. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you for joining me. And of course, thank you to everyone who has been tuning in to our live stream of the International Booker Prize 2024. Thank you to everyone who's been joining the conversation online at the Booker Prizes. Continue to join us for more conversations. Keep supporting translated literature. Keep supporting translators and writers from all around the world. And we will see you next time. I've been Jack Edwards. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.